For more anatomy-related videos, please subscribe to my channel, Learn with Dr. Tanya Hashik. Today's topic of discussion is menstrual cycle.
So today we will discuss menstrual cycle. In the previous class we have already discussed about ovarian cycle, that is the cyclical changes that occurs in the ovary. So today we will discuss about the uterine cycle or the menstrual cycle, that is the cyclical changes that occurs in the uterus. So these two cycles, it occurs parallelly. One is in the uterus and one is in the ovary. So in the previous section we have already discussed about the layers of uterus. The outermost is the perimetrium, middle layer is the myometrium, and the innermost is the endometrium, and endometrium is the layer which undergoes the cyclical changes during menstrual cycle. So usually it is a 28-day cycle, but it can extend up to 45 days. So it is usually a 28-day cycle. In this figure you can see various phases of the menstrual cycle. So the first is the menstrual phase, second is the postmenstrual phase, next is the proliferative phase, and next is the secretory phase, and after that the next cycle starts, that is the menstrual phase starts. So in total it is a 28-day cycle. So the menstrual phase, it extends from 3 to 5 days, during which the endometrium, it is shed off, and as a result the menstrual blood flows. So what happens to the endometrium? This is the endometrium. This is the basal part and this is the upper part of the endometrium. So the base, it is supplied by the straight artery, and the whole thickness, it is supplied by the spiral artery. And just prior to menstruation, the wall of the spiral arteries, it gets constricted. So the blood supply to the superficial part of the endometrium, it is restricted. So it do not get any blood, and as a result the cells undergo degeneration. And this result in the shedding of endometrium, and this result in menstrual flow of blood. So after the menstrual phase is the post-menstrual phase. So during the post-menstrual phase, only lower 1/3 of the endometrium remains. So the upper 2/3, it is shed off during the menstrual flow. So the lower 1/3 along with the lower part of the uterine gland, it remains. So the upper portion, it is immediately lined by epithelial cells, and the thickness, it is reduced, that is after the shedding of endometrium, the thickness of endometrium, it is reduced, that is it will be only up to 0.5 to 1 mm in thickness. So the cells are compactly arranged and they are uniformly distributed. So during the proliferative phase, the thickness of endometrium increases. This is due to the action of the estrogen secreted by the ovarian follicle. So the growing follicle, it secretes estrogen, and this results in the proliferation of the endometrium. So the thickness of endometrium, it increases. It reaches 2 to 3 mm in thickness, and the uterine gland, it also starts growing. So next is the secretory phase, during which the thickness of endometrium, it is increased again. That is, it reaches from 3 to 5 to 7 mm in thickness, and the uterine gland, it is also grown, and it starts secreting fluid which nourishes the endometrium, and it makes the endometrium soft. And the arteries, it starts to grow, and it finally reaches the whole thickness of endometrium, and they are called as the spiral artery. And the 3 layers of the endometrium, that is the stratum basale, the middle is the stratum spongiosum, and the topmost layer is the stratum compactum. It is well defined during the secretory phase. So the stratum basale, it do not undergo any cyclical changes during the shedding of endometrium. The middle is the stratum spongiosum. It is spongy and edematous, and the top layer is the stratum compactum, and this layer, it is also compact. So this top 2 layers, that is stratum spongiosum and stratum compactum, it is called as the functional zone, and this is the part which undergoes shedding during the shedding of the endometrium. So During the late secretory phase, the endometrium, it is soft, thick, and it has got a rich blood supply. This is to receive the fertilized ovum. But in absence of fertilization and also due to sudden withdrawal of progesterone, it results in certain changes, and finally the spiral artery, it gets constricted and the blood flow to the superficial layer of the endometrium, it is restricted, and this results in the shedding of endometrium and the next menstrual cycle begins. These are the 4 stages of the menstrual cycle. The first is the menstrual phase, during which the shedding of endometrium occurs and the menstrual blood flows, and the second is the postmenstrual phase, immediately after the menstrual phase, and the third is the proliferation phase, during which the endometrium thickness increases, and the fourth is the secretory phase, during which the thickness of endometrium increases as well as the uterine gland secretes a fluid. So, in each of these stages, certain hormones in the ovary are involved. That is, the hormone produced by the growing follicle is involved in the proliferation of the endometrium, and the corpus luteum is involved in the maintenance of the endometrium. So, based on ovarian cycle, the uterine cycle can be divided into 2 phases, that is follicular phase and the luteal phase. During the follicular phase, the growing follicles which secrete estrogen, which helps in the proliferation of the endometrium, and during the luteal phase, the corpus luteum, which secretes progesterone, which helps in maintaining the endometrium, and that is the luteal phase. So thus the growing follicle as well as the corpus luteum is involved in the uterine cycle. So in the next class, we will discuss the hormonal involvement in the menstrual cycle. So this is the end of today's class.
This is the end of today's video. For more videos, please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon.